Hey guys, it's Jake here. I think this is tutorial 28, and in this tutorial, what we're going to be doing is getting score to work. Basically, whenever you kill an enemy, we're going to make the jets, your score, go up, and your score is going to appear over here somewhere. So to do that, I'm going to get into my code. Now, in the HTML file, if you guys remember, we have a canvas almost for everything. We have a canvas for the enemies that they get drawn on. We have a canvas for the jet that our only gray jet gets drawn on, and then we have a canvas for the background that draws the background back here. Now, a lot of you guys have gotten confused with how to make a new canvas for, say, if you're trying to draw a different kind of object, if you're trying to draw a bicycle or something on the canvas. A lot of you guys have gotten confused with how you're supposed to make a new variable for the canvas and how to make a new context and stuff like that. So we're going to make sure we know how to do it better and the right way. Okay, so to start off, we want a new canvas because we want this canvas to display. It's going to be like a heads-up display. It's going to have your score. And for example, if you were making another type of game, it could have an amount of coins you have and stuff like that. But just for this heads-up display, we're only going to show the score. Now, the reason we want a new canvas is because we want this heads-up display to overlap all of these canvases, just like they overlap each other. We want the canvas HUD, the heads-up display, to be over top of the jet so that it's the very top thing, so that if anything goes by it, it's going to be underneath the score, not covering the score. Say if like an enemy jet were to go over just like that one did. And that's why we're going to create a new canvas. Also, because this canvas jet, we draw the jet every request animation frame, which is basically constant. We don't need to redraw the heads-up display every single constant millisecond it can. We only need to draw the heads-up display again when our score increases, which saves a lot of power instead of doing it over and over again constantly, which would not make sense. Okay, so I'm going to copy this line here, and basically I just made a fourth canvas down here. Instead of canvas jet, we need to call it canvas HUD. Now, if you're making a new canvas for anything, make sure you just put canvas in front. You don't have to. This is just a naming scheme we've been doing to keep things easily understandable. HUD, that stands for heads-up display, so that's why I put HUD. Width 800, height 500, same as the rest, just like that. Now, we can save that, and you're pretty much done with your index file. In the CSS file, I want to make a little alteration here. Basically, we would just have to go like this, canvas HUD, to reference the HUD that we just made. But basically, every canvas we want to be displaying block anyways. So we're just going to put canvas here just like that. This canvas refers to the actual canvas tag in our index file. I'll show you guys that. Index. It refers to this word right here. That's when you type in just the word in the CSS file, the tag name, which is canvas for this tag, the canvas tag, it's going to make every canvas display block, which is what we need. Now, down here, we have to reference them differently because we don't want our canvas background to bump up -500. We want everything else to bump up -500, so we just have to type in canvas HUD, just like that. Spelled right. So canvas jet, canvas enemy, canvas HUD. If you guys remember, this overlaps canvases to make them all appear over top of one another. But if we did that to the background canvas, it would appear way up here. We don't want that. So that's why we don't include canvas background in this area. Alright, so that's done with our CSS file. Also, don't worry about this stuff, guys. This is my stuff for showing it on my website. You don't need that at all. Okay. Now, in the JavaScript program, this is where you guys mostly get confused when you make a new canvas. Every time you make a new canvas, you need to just copy one of these, or both of these lines, like the canvas enemy, canvas enemy. I'm just going to copy this one. I'll separate it a bit so you guys understand. First of all, it's called canvas HUD, so we replace enemy with HUD. Also, the get element by ID. Our ID of our canvas is HUD, canvas HUD. Now, the context, this is what we actually draw on. So we have to go CTX HUD because this is referring to our canvas HUD. And we're saying canvas HUD.getContact. So instead of enemy, we put HUD. That's how you make a new canvas in the JavaScript program. Basically, we're saying canvas HUD equals a new canvas that we get the element ID from our index file. And the context, we're making a new context from our canvas HUD that we just created up here. And it's getting the context in 2D, 2 dimensions. That's how you make a new canvas and context, guys. So make sure you understand how to do that, because I know it can be confusing, but by now, hopefully you guys understand it. All right, so the next thing we need is, since our canvas, our HUD, our heads up display is going to be showing text, we need to add some special things we've never done before. First of all, we need to reference CTX HUD, and we need to put .fill style with a capital S there. Now, basically, fill style is basically what color is the text going to be. I want the text to be a certain color that I I chose here. And basically, I'm using the HSLA color format, which is hue, saturation, lightness, I believe. And A stands for, well, A is the opacity. So I'm just going to type in 0%, 0%, and 0.5. Basically, you guys can look up the HSLA color format. I'm not going to say it. Well, I'm not going to explain it too much. These are just the different color values. 0.5, it's going to be have an opacity of 0.5. So if you had an opacity of 1.0 or just 1, that is basically, it's not transparent at all. 0.5 is half transparency. So that's going to give us the color of basically black, but it's going to be half transparent, so you can see things that go behind the text. Now, CTX HUD, we need to write that again. And this one's going to be font. Basically, this is our font style. And basically, I'm going to make it bold, 20 pixels, Arial. Oops. That's the kind of the format that you use for the font. You say if you want it bold or not. You don't need this. 20 pixels, that's how big the font's going to be, and Arial is the font style actually. So that's what I'm just going to go with, a basic Arial font. Okay, so the next thing we need to do, which I already created down here, is a function called, there we go, is a function called update HUD right here. So I already just created just to save some time. Inside this function, this is what we're going to call to draw the new score to the canvas. So basically what we need to do, if you guys remember, just like with anything, we always clear a canvas before we draw to it. So just like we have clear CTX BG, I'm actually going to save some code here and forget about creating a clear CTX HUD. I'm just going to take that, which is, and basically turn this to CTX HUD. If you guys remember, this line basically resets the context that it's told to. So we're telling the context HUD to reset, basically clear it out. Okay, the next line we need to actually draw the HUD. So CTX HUD dot fill text. Whoops, text, not test. Fill text, and then we have 2 brackets and a semicolon. Inside of here, we have 3 parameters. The first parameter is our text. The second parameter is our draw X, basically, and the last parameter is our draw Y. We're going to replace those in a second. First of all, we want to say score, just like that, and then we need to use a plus symbol to say we're including the actual score with this text. So to do this, we're going to say jet1, which is our jet object, dot score. Now we actually haven't created jet1 score parameter yet, or value property yet, but we will in a second. Basically, fill text. This is going to draw text up here. It's going to draw score, and then plus the jet's actual score number. This draw X and this draw Y, just like you guys know, it's going to start this the text somewhere based on what we pass into it. So the draw X I actually have at 680, and the draw Y I actually have at 30. It just works out nicely. So function update HUD. Now, what we got to do is down in our jet function here, we want to make a new a new property called this.score. And we're just going to set to 0 at the start. Just like when you start off a game, your score is usually at 0. So that's our jet score. And we want our HUD to draw as soon as the game starts, which happens when we press the play game button right here. So after start loop, I'm just going to type in update HUD. And then we can actually test this out and see if our HUD draws correctly. So if I refresh and I press play game right here, or play, there's our score right there. Score, and then 0. This is the value that the Jet 1 actually has for its score, because that's what we're getting. And 680, 30, the X value is 680. The Y value is 30. That's where it draws the score text right here. Okay, so that's how we update the HUD. And we can just minimize that kind of. It doesn't really matter. Now, the next thing we need to do is... Oh, I made another prototype here. So, I hate it when it does that. This jet prototype I just created, I just copied another prototype and just renamed it update score. Now, in this update score function for the jet, we're going to actually pass in a number, and I'm just going to call this number points. It's a variable that we're going to pass in. Now, when we update the score, we're going to say this.score plus equals points. Basically, it's taking the jet score and it's adding to its current score the value that we pass in as a parameter, which in this case is the points. That's what we named the parameter. So if we were to type in jet1 dot update score 6, basically this would increase our score by 6 points because we're passing a number into points. Points becomes that number, and it just makes it for easy reusability. Okay, so this dot score plus equal points, and then once we get a new score, we want to update the HUD so that it shows the new score that we just updated in here. So that's how that happens. Okay, next we want to go into our enemy area, our enemy function. Now, say we have, these are normal jets. Say later down, we're probably not going to do this, but in your game, you could have a super humongous bomber jet that comes through and it's like quadruple the size of your jet. If you take down that humongous jet, you're most likely going to get more score points for doing it, while these little jets are going to give you less score points. So, in a way, for reusability, what we're going to do for the enemy is type in this dot reward. Let me spell that right. Oh my gosh, reward points equals 5. So this is the amount of points that our score up here is going to update by. Oh my gosh, stop doing that. It's going to update by whatever we pass into it, and we're going to pass into it the enemy's reward points, which is what we get when we know the enemy has been destroyed. So I'll show you guys how to do that. First of all, we have reward points there. Next, what we need to do, just looking at my notes here. Okay, so in the bullet function, check hit enemy right here. This is how we know that an enemy has been hit and destroyed. Basically, the explosion goes off. It recycles the bullet so that the bullet disappears, and then it recycles the enemy. What we want to do, after it recycles the enemy, we're just going to type in, I'll show you guys how to do this basically. First of all, we have to say jet1, which is our jet, and then we have to do update score, just like that. Now, the thing is though, we don't want to type in a number here because that would be a static number. We want to type in the number that the enemy actually has for reward points. So to do that, we type in the enemy's ith position, which is what we destroy, and we type in dot reward points. Now, this right here gets the enemy's reward points and passes it in to the update score function, which is right here. And that becomes the points that we use for that score right here. All right. Now, the thing is, though, Jet1, typing in Jet1 here, that's not really reusable. what we need to do is make sure that the bullet knows what jet that it belongs to. Say you have another green jet, and say it's your friend playing with you or something. He would have his own bullets list. So what we need to do is make sure that the bullet knows what jet it belongs to. To do that, let's make a new variable inside of it called this.jet, and we're going to set it equal to j. Now, j is going to actually be passed into the bullet function right here. So we're just going to say when we make a new bullet, this jet is going to become whatever we pass into the bullet. Now, when we actually create bullets, we do it inside of the jet function right here. When we load up the bullets list, we say make a new bullet for each position that we tell it to. In this new bullet area, we're going to type in this. That way the bullet knows that it belongs to this jet right here, which is actually jet 1 when you create a new jet. Way up here, new jet. Oh shoot, new jet, just like that. So that's how we know that when we create a new bullet, the bullet is going to belong to this jet, and the bullet knows that it belongs to that jet because we have a property. Stop doing that, Cloud9. Oh, there we go. So the bullet knows that its jet is this variable that we pass into it through j. All right, now that way we can replace jet 1 right here with this.jet.update score. Basically what we did is just made it more reusable or recyclable for if you had other good jets. That's why we did that. Basically we're taking the bullet's jet and saying this bullet's jet, we should tell that jet score to update because the bullet just killed an enemy, and I'm passing in I'm making my jet's score go up by the reward points of the enemy that I just killed. That's what that line kind of says there, and that may have been confusing what I just said, but you guys should understand. It's not too bad. We've been through a lot of this stuff already. So now we should be able to test this out if we save it and then refresh. So I'm going to press the play button, and I'm going to start killing enemies, and we should see our score over here go up. Bam. Score 15, score 20. Basically, each enemy we kill, it goes up by 5 points. So I'm just going to keep doing that. And 50, 55, 50, 60, 65, 70, 75, 80 will be up here, 90, and 100. It's going to go crazy. And guys, that's how you make your score appear on the canvas. So I'll upload this to my Minus profile. I'll also... Actually, guys, I don't think I'm going to upload the CSS file or the index file because you guys just watch what I did there. It's really simple. I don't need to upload that. I'll just upload this to Minus just so it's a backup in case you guys are like, what the heck did I just do? If you're having an error or something like that. All right, guys. So thanks for watching. I think the next tutorial, we're going to make the background scroll so it looks like it's actually moving. So if you guys liked it, press the like button, and I'll see